Hi everyone, Christopher Roop here. I did my presentation on Daniel and the Lion's Den, which is a story from the book of Daniel, which is part of the Old Testament in the Bible. I will do a few comparisons between the scripture in the Bible and some of the films that have been produced based on that scripture. The films that I used for this presentation: the Bible miniseries, episode 5, The Survival from 2013, was a History Channel miniseries. The Bible full movie, Daniel HD English, 2014. Greatest Heroes of the Bible, Daniel in the Lion's Den. Bible Stories, Daniel and the Lion's Den, which is a cartoon version of the story. The book I used was the Possibility Thinker's Bible, New King James Version. Daniel was a prophet considered to have been given special knowledge by God to interpret dreams. The book of Daniel, chapters 1 through 6, tells the story of Daniel and his life as he served under the 4 kings of Babylon. Along with his 3 friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, Daniel had to endure the hardships of living in the city of Babylon. After an attack on Jerusalem by King Nebuchadnezzar, Daniel and his friends were taken to Babylon and instructed under the Babylonian principles. Although they were in Babylon, they still stayed true to and worshiped their God of Jerusalem. The book of Daniel is most recognized by chapter 6. In this chapter, after being promoted to head administrator over the province of Babylon by King Darius, the other administrators became jealous and devised a scheme to get rid of Daniel. This scheme resulted in Daniel being put into the lion's den by his good friend King Darius. Daniel must rely on his God to save him from the lion's den. In the book of Daniel, there are 4 kings that consecutively ruled the city of Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar was the first, King Belshazzar, King Darius the Mede, and King Cyrus the Great. Some movies mention all the kings, and some movies omit some of these kings completely from the storyline. This chart represents the kings of Babylon and whether or not they were recognized in the films. Comparisons have been made using the scripture in the book of Daniel. Green indicates that the king was portrayed in the film. Red indicates the king was not portrayed in the film. The green arrow from the square of Cyrus the Great to Darius the Mede is there because the Survival 2013 version of the film followed the storyline of the scripture, but used King Cyrus instead of King Darius. This is important because in the scripture, King Darius is responsible for putting Daniel in the lion's den, not King Cyrus. This slide shows the kings and how they were visually portrayed in the different movies. You see at the top King Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel HD 2014. As compared to the miniseries Survival 2013, King Nebuchadnezzar looks much more aggressive, which is more fitting to the reputation that he had as a ruthless leader over Babylon at the time. And then we can go down to Darius the Mede under Daniel HD 2014. He looks pretty similar to the Darius the Mede under the Greatest Heroes column, which was a much older movie, but they do have a similar look. And then down to Cyrus the Great, which in Daniel HD 2014, he's much older as compared to the King Cyrus that came to Babylon in the miniseries Survival 2013. After Daniel interpreted King Nebuchadnezzar's first dream, the king made a golden statue that all in Babylon were to worship and bow to. All the people of the city did this except for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. As a result of disobeying the king, they were thrown into the fiery furnace. In Daniel 3:21, it says that the king's men that carried Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to the fire were also burned by the furnace because the fire was already burning at such a high temperature. This did not happen in any of the films. In Survival 2013, however, Nebuchadnezzar put his hand into the fire because he could not believe what he was seeing. The 3 men were not burning. This action from the king was not in the scripture, and each film only shows 3 men in the fire. In this clip from the miniseries Survival 2013, opposite of the scripture, the fire is built around the men. It's not already burning. The 3 men are put into the cave. The wood is brought, the oil is brought, and the king is instructing the guards to start the fire. And with that being said, Nebuchadnezzar's guards do not get burned like in the scripture. Nebuchadnezzar puts his hand in the fire, which he does not do in the scripture, because he can't believe what he's seeing. The 3 men aren't being burned. The Bible does say that a 4th figure of an angel appeared in the fire and protected the 3 men. This happens in both the miniseries Survival 2013 and in the Daniel 2014 HD version.
Unyielding. What do we do with it? we put it into the fire.
Majesty,
Take him!
hear you, and we seek your presence.
Burn them! Majesty, no! Burn them! What? No! Bring oil! Come! Fire! Bring me fire!
Hear my cry. The cords of death entangle me. The anguish of the grave consumes me. Do not ignore my tears. I am overcome by sorrow. I call upon the name of the Lord. Lord, save me!
My enemies will be daunted. They will turn back in shame. Why do they not burn?
In Daniel chapter 4, verse 4 through 33, Nebuchadnezzar has a second dream that Daniel must interpret for the king. The dream is of a tree that provides food and shelter for all the people and animals. An angel descends and tells Nebuchadnezzar to chop down the tree and leave the stump in the ground. The tree was Nebuchadnezzar. The interpretation and fulfillment of this dream would end with Nebuchadnezzar living and eating in the wild as an animal. This event is recreated very well in the Daniel HD 2014 film, but not in the Survival 2013 version. This is an important event in the book of Daniel because the stump represents Nebuchadnezzar's throne that would be returned to him after living in the wild and finally acknowledging God as the Almighty. In the end, Nebuchadnezzar recognizes God and is returned to his throne and kingdom. Survival 2013 recognizes this part of the scripture by only showing a Nebuchadnezzar that has gone mad and is chained in a room somewhere in the kingdom. In this version, Nebuchadnezzar never gets his reign back and never acknowledges God. In Daniel HD 2014, King Nebuchadnezzar loses his throne and is cast out to live with the animals because his arrogance prevents him from acknowledging God. In Survival 2013, madness has taken over Nebuchadnezzar and shows that he never accepted God as Almighty. He is not in the wild, but he is animal-like, which you can see in the two video clips.
Is this not the great Babylon that I have built as my royal palace with my mighty power for the glory of my majesty?
His words were still on his lips when a voice came down from heaven.
Nebuchadnezzar, for your arrogance and your failure to give glory to the Most High, your authority is stripped from you. Go now from this kingdom which you claim. Your mind shall be reduced to that of an animal, and you will wander the land until you acknowledge the glory of God as above your own.
Immediately, what had been said about Nebuchadnezzar was fulfilled. sought to make himself as great as he who rules above heaven, and the Lord would not have it.
So here you are, Nebuchadnezzar, the greatest king and lowliest man on God's earth. See where your pride has brought you and us. You who could have set us free. Now we are as trapped as you. A new king is coming. Please, God, let him deliver us.
Daniel chapter 6. Daniel being thrown into the lion's den is one of the most recognized events in this book of the Bible. Many movies have been created that were based on this miracle alone. The following slides show several interpretations of Daniel's experiences in the lion's den. However, in Daniel chapter 6, verse 16 through 23, there is not a description of what actually happened inside the lion's den. Daniel only emerges alive and says to the king that God sent an angel to close the mouths of the lions. There are notable differences in the characters and events in the films as well as comparisons to the text. A main notable difference is that in the Bible, the lion's den is described as being more like a pit or hole with the opening on the top. The Bible states that Daniel was cast into the den of the lions. A stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den, and the king commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. In these versions of the movie, the den has its opening from the side. Some use doors to seal the den, but only the cartoon version used a stone along with the king's seal. This slide shows two video clips from the miniseries Survival 2013. Notables are Daniel is not accompanied to the lion's den by King Darius as he is in the Bible. Daniel's character is younger, lightly clothed, vulnerable, and afraid. Daniel is being forced into the lion's den. The Bible states that a stone sealed by the king was used to block the entrance. In this video, there's just simply a door that closes and opens to the den. Daniel's prayer is short, and there's only two male lions in the den. King Cyrus is playing the role of King Darius the Mede in this version of the film. There's no angel or light of God that appears in the den. And in Daniel 6, verse 24, it is written that Daniel's accusers and their families were thrown into the lion's den. In this version, only one of Cyrus's men was fed to the lions.
Arrested and sentenced to death.
Save me, O God, by your name. Have mercy on me, according to your unfailing love.
slept. Please God, I'm not too late. Sire, shall I call the physician? I've wronged my friend! Open it.
God is with you. Your God is real. Your God has saved you. Yes. I am Cyrus, king of the world, and my judgment is this. Your people shall return to Jerusalem.
There God will be pleased. Though, sadly, they no longer have a temple to worship him in.
Throw him into the lions.
This slide has a video clip from the Daniel HT 2014 version. It's consistent with the Bible in that Darius the Mede is the king that is putting Daniel into the lion's den. What's not in the scripture is King Darius gives Daniel wine prepared by the Hebrews, but what is in the scripture is that Daniel never eats food from the kings of Babylon because it's not prepared in the traditional Hebrew fashion. This film shows the friendship between Darius and Daniel. Daniel's character is confident that his God will save him, and there's still no stone or seal put on the entrance to the lion's den. There's still just a door. In Daniel 6, verse 17, the king tells Daniel that his God will save him. The films omit this, and the king seems unsure about Daniel's survival.
One last gesture of friendship.
My king.
Goodbye, my friend.
Farewell, but perhaps not goodbye. We have yet to see what the dawn will bring. Hear, O Israel, Lord our God. The Lord is one.
He is angry with us. It will fade. By tomorrow morning, Daniel will be a distant memory, and the king will need us again.
In this clip from Daniel HD 2014, in contrast to the survival version of 2013, Daniel is fully clothed, is showing a lot less fear, and has a lot more confidence that God will save him. There's more lions in this den, both male and female. Daniel is entering the den calmly. He's not being forced in by the guards as compared to the other version. Daniel's prayer is much, much longer. And this clip also shows King Darius and how he is disturbed that his law forced him to put Daniel in the den.
no. Take it away. All of it. Tonight I honor Daniel in silence and with fasting. Now leave me!
Have mercy on me. In you my soul takes refuge. I am in the midst of lions, surrounded by ravenous beasts, whose teeth are spears, whose tongues are sharp as swords. I call upon your name, O Lord. From the depths of the pit, hear my plea. Come near. You say, do not fear. Oh Lord, take up my case. Redeem my life.
This clip from Daniel HD 2014 is just a clip to show how the time that Daniel was in the lion's den was extravagantly portrayed. You can see that the lions have circled Daniel and they are kind of appearing to bow before him as he's praying, and a light of God or an angel appears to come into the den from above, and the portrayal goes as far to even show that the lions recognize the light or the angel coming into the cave as well.
Extol the Lord at all times. His praise be ever on my lips. But those who seek the Lord will lack for no good thing. A righteous man may have many troubles, but the Lord rescues him from them all. You have rescued me from the mouth of lions, and I will declare your name to my brothers in the congregation. I will praise you.
Out of my way!
This final clip from Daniel HD 2014 shows King Darius returning to the lion's den to see if Daniel has survived, which shows that King Darius is still uncertain if God has saved Daniel. And what's consistent with the Bible, Daniel chapter 6 verse 21, Daniel says, "O King, live forever," which is in the scripture. And what's also consistent with the Bible, with Daniel chapter 6 verse 24, Darius honors God and casts Daniel's accusers to the lions. Still, it is only Daniel's accusers and not their families, as it is in the scripture. King Darius says that the lions have hungered for 6 days. This line adds credibility to the miracle of Daniel's survivor, implying that the lions were hungry when Daniel was in, so Daniel's God had to have saved him from the hungry lions. These two video clips from the greatest heroes of the Bible, Daniel in the lion's den. Daniel is dressed in white, which is a sign of good or peace. And King Darius asks Daniel, but does not tell Daniel his God will save him. So King Darius is still uncertain if God will save Daniel, which in the Bible it does say that the king says, "Your God will save you." Daniel enters the den willfully, like the Daniel HD 2014 version. The den is outside as opposed to being underground in a dungeon compared to the first two clips that we looked at. A stone is placed before the entrance, but is still not shown as sealed by the king. And the reason that the stone was sealed by the king was to prove that no one had tampered with the den overnight while Daniel was inside. And if you look, the lions are not very active or ferocious in this film at all.
Tell me this living God that you have served so well and so faithfully will save you from the horrors within. Tell me.
If it pleases his will and purpose. But if I am destroyed by the lions, then that too will serve. Farewell, my king. God of our fathers, into your hands I commend my life and spirit. The beasts and I, Daniel, each in our own way serve your holy name.
In these last two clips from the greatest heroes of the Bible, King Darius is returning to the den to see if Daniel has survived. In the den, the angel descends and says that the mouths of the lions have been closed. It says this to Daniel. In the Bible, Daniel speaks these words, not the angel. The angel talks to Daniel, which this is not in the Bible as well. Daniel does not say, "O king, live forever," as in the scripture when Darius calls out to him to see if he is still alive.
Daniel, the 12 hours of night have passed, and your ordeal is over. You have been upright and steadfast in your love of God. Therefore you have been saved. The mouths of the lions have been closed, so that through your faith all men may know the Lord is God, and your deliverance is in his love.
Daniel, my friend, has your God delivered you from the lions? Daniel! Are you alive?
Your gracious majesty, I live. As I am innocent before you and my God, I live!
Daniel is alive! Daniel has been delivered from the lion.
the Lord sent an angel, and the fierce lions became as gentle lambs.
Your Majesty, mercy. Mercy. Have mercy on me. Daniel, plead for us. Save us.
Please, a terrible mistake is being... Silence! I cannot help you. Daniel cannot help you. You've condemned yourselves out of your own mouths.
My king.
Would you have me put myself above the law for them? And I would not do it for you.
No! No! Please!
The last two movie clips are from Bible Stories, Daniel and the Lion's Den. This is the cartoon version of the story, which is pretty accurate overall to the scripture. It mentions all four of the kings, from King Nebuchadnezzar, King Belshazzar, Darius the Mede, and Cyrus the Great, in some form throughout the movie. This version is the most scripturally accurate in regard to the den itself. It's outside in a rocky area. The stone is used to close the den, and the stone is sealed by the king to prevent tampering. The guard is big, he's powerful, he's been scratched by the lions, like the big lion tamer, which is fascinating for kids. Daniel did not say that an angel closed the mouths of the lions at all. Daniel also did not say, "O king, live forever," when Darius the Mede came to check and see if Daniel had survived his time in the den.
Here to see the death of a betrayer?
No, I'm here to see that this man is treated with the respect he deserves. I owe him that much. Daniel, my most trusted administrator, you've served me well. God protects you.
Thank you, sire. I know he will.
I wish I had your faith, Daniel. The least I can do is give you a fair chance to prove me wrong. You three, come forward. We're going to seal this rock. I don't want anyone tampering with this cave. I have my reasons. Daniel! Daniel!
King?
He lives. He lives! He lives! He lives! Set me down.
Right. My God protected me, sire.
But how, Daniel?
and the angel watched over me through the night.
There are many films about the book of Daniel and his stories of dream interpretations and surviving the lion's den. As in these films, some are scripturally accurate and some interpret the events completely different. The story of Daniel in the lion's den will always be a great miracle from the Bible. However, the accuracy of the films versus the scripture and what actually happened can forever be argued. The Bible does not tell us what happened inside the lion's den. We as readers are forced to take Daniel's word for it and accept that an angel came down and closed the mouths of the lions. The scripture does not say that Daniel prayed while he was in the den, yet each version shows Daniel praying. To raise questions against the story can feel like blasphemy if one is a Christian. But in reality, we truly do not know what took place inside the lion's den. This mystery is a playground for the imagination that has resulted in many different visual representations of this book of the Bible.